FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's 3/1/19, first day of the month. That means that it's time for Mickey Fulp's monthly major market review going back to last month, February of 2019. Mickey, happy March.
Happy March, Kerry. We're both headed to frigid Toronto. I will see you at the beginning of the week.
Yep, we're going there for PDAC, and bring your long underwear. Sure.
True.
Yeah.
And your toque.
Yeah. I have to go buy some. I've been in Florida.
Oh, man, you got to have one. You got a little bit more hair on top than I do. But
not much.
Exactly.
Not enough, for sure. But, hey, the markets weren't too frigid last month. When we look at the major markets, not too shabby.
U.S. markets keep rolling. Rawhide, 25,916 for the Dow, up 1.6%, up 11% on the first 2 months of the year. S&P 500, about the same, up 3% for the month, 11% for the year, and 12% for the year, closed at 2784. NASDAQ, up over 13% for the year at 75.32, 3.5% on the month. And the big winner, small cap index, Russell 2000, closed at 1575, and it's up over 16% on the year.
Impressive gains for sure. So looking at our lesser markets, even they have been, well, not as impressive as the majors, but they've been moving.
Well, even the Canucks have come in out of the cold. Their markets seriously underperformed last year. But the Toronto Big Board closed at 15,999, up 3%. It's up, I'm adding the numbers, over 11% on the year. Venture Exchange basically was flat over the month, closed at 624, up a point, but it's still up 12% on the year. The only underperformer is the emerging market index. It basically was flat over the month, closed at 1051. China's really starting to drag with this tariff impasse or whatever it amounts to right now. Meanwhile, the VIX fell again, closed below 15 at 1478. We're back to low volatility in the S&P 500.
For sure. Complacency is setting in yet again, and I guess to be expected when you have these periods of volatility and then things settle down appreciably. So we look at our money for the month, and dollar put in its upward performance, erasing the prior month's gain. So what else we got here?
Well, the dollar had an up and down month. It was really range bound most of the month between 96.5 and a significant multi-year high at 97.5, but it became weak toward the end of the month, closed at 96.11, up about 0.5%. Euro, of course, was down 0.5%, closed at 114. Eurozone has some problems with weak economy in Germany, this whole Brexit debacle, and whatever else goes on across the pond. They're still under the quantitative easing negative interest rate paradigm. So it is what it is. Meanwhile, the 10-year bond was again range bound between about 265 to 275 all month. It closed at the top end of that at 2.73, up 4% of the month. But, the Fed, Powell keeps talking very dovishly, and kind of the over and under for interest rate raises this year is about 1. So if we get 2, I think most pundits will be surprised. Bitcoin came off its bottom, closed at 38.01, up 11% on the month.
Yeah. Well, hey, whatever that means, right? So
yeah.
Now we look at our metals, and up and down, up and down. Just seems to be a pattern here.
Yeah, the dollar had quite a volatile month. It closed on the 19th at a high, multi-month high of 1340. I'm looking, it was about a year since it had been that high. Today, now, well, let me say what it did as of the end of yesterday. Closed at 1313. Off 6 cents a percent, but as we're looking right now, it is very strongly testing resistance at 1300. It is right now at 1297. If it breaks this resistance, look out below. Silver had a bad month, closed at 1558, off 3%. Platinum finally came out of its bottom. Very much oversold. It closed at 869, up 6% over the month. It's been a significant time in the month in that 800 plus or minus range. Meanwhile, palladium is just insane. Who knows what's going on with that metal? Closed at 1522. It was up in the 1540 range at one point this week. Who knows what's going on with this market? It certainly is overbought. It will peak. It will fall drastically, but where and when is anybody's guess at this time.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt. Well, yeah, it's interesting to watch for sure. So
yeah. And then copper had a big rally of 20 cents since February 10th. The supply-demand fundamentals of copper are finally taking over. There has been progress on the tariff talks. When this impasse gets settled, I'm convinced it will, the base metal complex is going to soar, and it's going to be led by copper. Closed at 296, up 6.5% on a week. It's going from last week or so from weak contango to near-term backwardation. It's had a pretty big jump. It's been as high as 298. Closed the month at 296.
Interesting. So Dr. Copper might be flashing a bullish signal for a change, you think?
Well, it is flashing a bullish signal, but and it has been for quite some time. But the real problem has been the trade tariff overhang, and the speculators, the hedge funds, have basically left the entire hard commodity space. And until they come back in, we're really dependent on macroeconomic news.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, let's take a look at the energy sector, which oil put in quite a nice performance.
Yeah, oil came back. It was drastically oversold. OPEC's behaving. There's lots of bullish things. Venezuela is collapsing. That's good for the oil market. Closed at 57.22, up 6.5% on the month for WTI. Brent up a little bit more, 6.7%, closed at 66.03. Meanwhile, Henry Hub was flat despite very low inventories and what was a warmer month in the upper tier states, but certainly not in the Midwest. And it's quite frigid there right now. So it's bucking the weather trend, and it's a bit of mixed up market. I don't know exactly what's going on with the oil or with the gas market right now.
Yeah, it was. You would have thought with the cold weather in the Midwest, it would go up, but the Northeast was not that cold. The Northeast was pretty temperate, and I guess that was enough to take the edge off of possible advance.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I can talk to some oil and gas guys and find out this week in Toronto, but that didn't do us much good today. Meanwhile, uranium came off this week. Surprisingly, came off of it. It's been range bound between 28 and 29 bucks for about 5 months now. I talked to my inside contacts on the uranium supply demand market, and what they're telling me, it was not Cameco selling in because they're buying on the spot market to fill their contracts. They are speculating that Traxys sold out of their inventory to drive the price down because they have contracts to deliver coming up, and they're not going to be bailed out by, which they have this time of year, time and time again over the last 7 years till Trump came in, and the DOEs ain't selling no excess U.S. uranium. So that's the theory. It closed at 27.75, down 4% on the month. I didn't think it was going to move until the Section 232 was settled, and that's still well over a month away. But that should drive the price up. Yeah. We expect positive news from that. Interesting.
Yeah, down marginally, but it's had a pretty good rally off of its lows for sure. So now
35%, can't complain about that.
Not at all. So now looking at our ratios, the significant ones primarily in the metal. What's your take here?
Well, gold and silver, the ratio has now been above 80 for 7 months in a row, Kerry. This is unprecedented since 1990 to 1993 when the silver market crashed and it went below $4. So it closed this month at 84.3. This is unusual. This probably occurs about 6 to 8% of the time since 1971 with ratios like this. Platinum to gold. Platinum had a nice rise over the month, so we've come off that all-time low for platinum and gold. It ended up at 0.66 this month from a low at one point of 0.61 intra-month on a weekly basis. And meanwhile, platinum to palladium ratio as of the end of the month was at 0.57. That was 1 point off the all-time low. And as we speak today, it is at the all-time low of 0.56. And I think since 1971, there's been 4 or 5 days that that's happened.
Yeah, and we should talk about palladium there at 1522. I mean, it's been going gangbusters for the past 6 months. It broke 1,000 6 months ago, and it's been higher highs since then. And
well, it's gone exponential. It's a parabolic spike. It just depends on there's some supply demand fundamentals that are driving it. It is in deficit, but the speculators, the bulls, the longs have just taken control of this market right now and bidding it up and up and up, and it will come crashing down and down and down.
Yeah, that's just the way markets work. What goes up must come down, and the key is to unload it before it does, right?
Well, here's the trade right now. If you own any palladium, sell all your palladium and buy platinum or buy gold. Our buddy over at Miles Franklin, Andy Scheckman, has been preaching that. We've talked about this since the Sprott conference in July. We talked about it, and that's a good arbitrage right now.
Yeah, sounds like a good one. Sell palladium, buy platinum. At some point, it's going to reverse.
Or buy gold.
Or buy gold, too, for that matter. Either one, probably a good play. Anyway, that's it for the monthly review for February. I can't believe we're into March again. Hey, maybe we'll sit down, talk about some companies at PDAC, and give you our candid assessments. We had some fun doing that a couple of years at the Vancouver Resource Conference. I will see you tomorrow, Mickey. Safe travels and be well. And, I would be remiss not saying go check out Mickey's site, mercenarygeologist.com, Twitter feed at mercenarygeo. Check our site out, financialsurvivalnetwork.com, Twitter feed at Kerry Lutz. Mickey, we will see you tomorrow.
All right. And I'm going to do a little self-promotion. Come and see my talk at the Speakers Newsletter Writers Forum at 2 p.m. on Sunday. And the subject of my talk is why I don't own mining companies. And it's a thought experiment like the physicists do.
All right.
I think you will be entertained.
Should make you popular there, too. Hey, and I will be at MIF as well, Metals Investor Forum, as well as PDAC. If you see me around, come say hello. I'll buy you a drink. Mickey, always great to talk to you. We will catch you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kerry.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.